Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
As we reported here yesterday, Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, was on a fact-finding mission to Ghana while her city was going up in flames. The fact-finding mission, by the way, in Ghana, I believe, was so she could really properly refine the best way to turn LA into a third world nation. She's going to make LA Ghana again. I think that's the plan. That was an odd slogan, running for re-election, but hey, you go with God, Karen Bass. Obviously, the political pressure was intense, and she hopped on the second. Well, actually, I think she took her sweet time, but she found herself on a plane eventually and flew back to Los Angeles. And while she was in a holding room at LAX waiting for VIP escort through the terminal, and I want you to think about that for a minute, because everything you're about to see here would not have happened if she had just left the plane like a normie, like a regular person, and gone through the terminal. But no, she sat in a special holding place waiting for VIP escort to get through the terminal. And because of that, a reporter for Sky News recognized her, saw her, and confronted her.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home? Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
No. Hold on 1 second.
So you saw what happened there. She was waiting at the door. You've all been on one of these, walkways that take you onto the airplane. And there's a door right there. That's where, like, if your bag is too big and it won't fit in the overhead compartment, then you have to check it right there at the door of the plane, and then they take it down. So she was waiting at that door, hoping to get an escort onto the tarmac, right? But then she had enough. So she said, screw it. I don't want to deal with this reporter. So then she starts walking. And then she turns to this door because she thinks, all right, maybe I can get to the tarmac this way. Maybe she has experience and she's been escorted off that way anyway in the past. I don't know. But then she's about to open the door, and you saw that there's a big sign there that says alarm's going to sound, right? It's like a Jamal Bowman situation. She's going to press the fire alarm here, and she's still trying to escape. And she wants to go to her VIP restricted area so that she doesn't have to deal with this reporter.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Can you take this down? David, as you...
And there you have it. All right, and we're going to get the reporter to react to this in a minute, but just real fast before we do, and it was a great, what a moment. If you're a reporter and you see this person, you're able to do that. You've got your equipment with you. She's a politician. She's an elected official. She's a former congresswoman. These are all fundamental questions that this guy was asking that every single person in her city, every voter, every citizen in the county of Los Angeles, state of California, in the United States of America deserve an answer to. She's been sitting on planes flying back from Ghana for 18, probably 22 hours. At no point did she think up an answer to some of these fundamental questions. At no point did she or any of her staff members work up some talking points that she could utilize. At no point she can just look up and engage with a reporter at a moment like this. This is the first time you're seen. You've been disappeared. You've been invisible during the entire disaster. Now it's not like the camera is going to go away. It's not like if you ignore it and close your eyes, it disappears. You're on camera. This is the moment you've returned. You're a politician. Politic. Like, show some basic communication skills. Even if it's, listen, I understand the spirit of all of your questions. My focus right now is on the people of Los Angeles and their homes. I'm focused on that. I am going to answer all of your questions, but at another time. This is not the appropriate time because I am too focused on getting to where I need to be to make sure that everybody is safe and sound. And, anybody, I can do it. I'm not an elected official and I can BS my way through it. But instead, like the incompetent, inept, uncaring, unfeeling, she just sat there. She sat there like her batteries had been taken out. Like her voice box had been broken. Like nobody had programmed what the right thing is for her to say and do. In a moment, you're going to see that she can't even read a script when her staff can prepare remarks for her. But let's turn back to the reporter's analysis here first, and then we'll move on.
You say she wasn't very keen to answer any of your questions there. And fire chiefs are also admitting that they just don't have enough personnel to take out the fires.
Yeah, they're fighting all sorts of challenges. They're talking about a water shortage. There are reports of fire hydrant failures. They've been unable to use firefighting aircraft for much of the day due to the smoke that is billowing ominously from the hills where the wildfires are raging. And I suppose despite that political storm, this is, of course, at its heart, a human story because we've now 80,000 people evacuated. Tens of thousands of others are on standby to be evacuated. 2 lives have been lost in the Eaton fire, which is what's causing the consequence behind us. The city's iconic landscape almost shrouded completely by the smoke. And they're really just taking it one step at a time, hoping at some stage the wind's going to change.
Hey, Kevin McMahon, the great executive producer of this FAIR program, live streaming as we speak. You can take a look at that Chiron. You're better at this than I am. You have a college degree. Is that how you spell fueling?
That might be how the Brits spell fueling.
Really? The Brits spell fueling with a double L? Do they?
They do all sorts of weird stuff like that. Like when they write canceling, they use a different spelling. It's very odd.
I mean, it's one thing to add a U in color, right? And to call an elevator a lift, but double L in fueling? I don't know if that's the Queen's English, or I'm sorry, the King's English. We need a fact check on that. We've got viewers in Europe. Give us a fact check in the comment section, please. Either way, if that's how they spell fueling, no wonder they've got issues over there in England with their currency and with inflation. I mean, they got enough time and money on their hands to just haphazardly throw extra consonants into a word when they're not necessary. That's ridiculous. I think that's wrong. I don't think that's how you spell fueling. All right, let's let him finish.
Direction or to die down, and that they're going to be able to get this fire under control.
All right, that's the end of that. I just wanted to make sure that he had his last word because he had a good get with Karen Bass and he deserved to have the final word there. All right, then Karen Bass got her act together. All right, she exits, she runs across the tarmac, she gets into her limousine. They motorcade her to where she needs to be so that she can give a crisis response. And she shows up with scripted, prepared remarks. Again, I want you to know, you're in Ghana this whole time. You're flying back. You've got all this time. I would think you've got a 5-minute speech you need to deliver. You should be able to commit it to memory, right? But no, her staffers write out what she's going to say, and she reads the prepared remarks. And it did not go well because during the remarks, she wanted to direct the citizens of Los Angeles to a website that will provide information and help if they need help. Never mind the fact that half of the people don't even have electricity, right, to get to a website. But that's fine. It makes it look like we're doing something. So let's give people the website address.
Build stronger than ever. Right now, if you need help, emergency information, resources, and shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL. Los Angeles, together is how we will get through this.
Wait, Wait. She did not just do that. Hold on. I'm sorry. All that information and help is where now?
Information, resources, and shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL. Los Angeles, together.
What a more. She's the Ron Burgundy of mayors. Good night, San Diego. I'm Ron Burgundy. Who put the question mark in the teleprompter? He'll read anything that's up there. Here's what happened. Her staffers put together the prepared remarks. As they were writing out the speech, they did not know the exact web address. So they just put space in there as a filler. They just put URL, knowing that one of the interns would go back after the fact and fill in the actual proper web address where it said URL. But then, of course, that intern never did that. And they printed out the speech and they said, here it is. And then Karen Bass, the president of the Mensa Club in Los Angeles, is sharp as a tack. I mean, she's as sharp as Joe Biden was and is and will be. She's reading her prepared remarks. She gets to the point where she's supposed to give the web address and it says URL, and she just says URL.
Now, if you need help, emergency information, resources, and shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL. Los Angeles, together is how we will get through this.
You know, any normal human being. Can I pretend I'm a politician? Here, I've got a piece of paper. All of the resources and information can be found at, hey guys, all it says here is URL. What's the website? Does someone know what the website is, please? This is important. People are looking for information. For God's sake, what's the URL? Someone? Thank you. The URL is www.laisburning.gov. That's what a normal human being does. She is a professional politician. She's the mayor of the second largest city in America. Her city is on fire. She's delivering vital information to her citizens.
Shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL. Los Angeles.
Just resign. Just resign. For God's sake, resign. I hope every Democrat in Los Angeles right now, as they see their home burning to the ground and all of their memories turned into ash, I hope they are at least feeling some sort of smug self-satisfaction that they elected the first Black female mayor. Because that's what she ran as. That's what she won as. And that's pretty much all she's bringing to the table. Congratulations. You broke the glass ceiling. You checked boxes. How's that working out for you? By the way, you know how social media and the internet is forever. This post on Twitter, back when it was Twitter, from Karen Bass, that same Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, is not really sitting well and living well in America's memories. You remember when Ted Cruz, during the power outages in Texas, when they were having extraordinary freezing and they were having all this infrastructure problem, Ted Cruz fleeing Texas in the middle of a deadly crisis is part of a larger pattern of the GOP abandoning folks in crisis. We need to build a movement to kick them all out. She was literally on the other side of the planet as mayor of Los Angeles. By the way, say what you will about the optics of Ted Cruz, the U.S. senator from Texas, being in, I think, Cancun, it was, while there was a state crisis there of the power grid. But a U.S. senator for the state of Texas literally does nothing at a moment like that. She is the mayor of the city. She is in charge of the fire department. She's in charge of the water department. She's in charge of every employee of the city. It's kind of an apples to oranges comparison, but she's a Democrat, so she'll get away with it. So will this guy. He's also a Democrat. He's the governor of California. He's Governor Hair Gel. It's got to break his heart to see what's happening here. Gavin Newsom, you know that he is feeling the pain of this moment as he stands there in Altadena with these fires. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I know I'm seeing what you're reacting to in the chat. No. I don't mean that he's feeling the emotion and pain of people losing their homes. No. He's got to feel the emotion and pain of having to wear a hat instead of showing everyone his incredible hair gel work on his hair. He looks just nobody else does the Batman villain look like Governor Hair Gel Gavin Newsom. Anderson Cooper. Now understand something. There was a lot of talk yesterday about the fact that Gavin Newsom single-handedly, as lieutenant governor and then as governor, championed the cause of a little fish called the Delta smelt. Now, in the name of protecting the Delta smelt, water that was supposed to be diverted and kept in reservoirs, Governor Pete Wilson, the last Republican, Schwarzenegger doesn't count, the last Republican governor of California, Pete Wilson, actually put together a huge plan to capture water runoff, some of it coming from Canada, from the mountains in the Sierra Nevadas that are in California that run off into the state. He put together a huge master plan to capture that rainwater, hold it in reserve, put it in reservoirs, and flow it properly to jurisdictions for agriculture purposes and for emergency purposes, just like this. And the Democrats, and then later specifically Gavin Newsom, blocked every effort to do that, all in the name of protecting the Delta smelt. This is truth. This is fact. Fact check me. I love it when you do. You'll see what I'm talking about. Go ahead and fact check Governor Pete Wilson. He just wrote a letter to the Los Angeles Times in 2019, the last time we had these fires that were raging out of control. And he said, I had a plan to do this. Democrats stopped me from doing it. Okay. 100% truthful. Delta smelt. Look up the Delta smelt. They've been fighting over the Delta smelt for like 20 years in California. All right. So that was in the news cycle yesterday. Anderson Cooper gets Gavin Newsom standing in front of this raging inferno. And does Anderson Cooper say, Mr. Governor, is it true that in the name of saving the Delta smelt, you refused to reserve any water so that we could fight these fires and you instead diverted all of the water to the Pacific Ocean that was running off the mountains? What do you say to that? Now, any normal reporter would have done that because that's what reporters do. They ask tough questions, fact-based, tough questions to the elected official to hold them accountable. Speak truth to power, right? Is that what Anderson Cooper did? No. No, he did not. What did Anderson Cooper do? Watch what Anderson Cooper did.
We're in the public safety phase.
I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
Wow. That's what Anderson Cooper did. First of all, I hate to have to even ask you this. Oh, nice job speaking truth to power, Anderson. Oh, that's a fine use of your freedom of the press. Oh, don't be mad at me for asking you this. I hate myself for having to do this. And instead of actually asking him a question based on the facts and the history and the legislation and his political position on all of this and the deadly ramifications we're now dealing with, instead of actually asking him about the policy, he frames the entire thing on Trump blames you. What do you say to him? This is despicable. It's disgusting. It's pathetic. It's journalistic malpractice. Every time they start screaming about the fact of how vital they are to our Constitution and our freedoms, that's why they have to have unencumbered freedom of the press. Remember moments like this, because the biggest danger to journalistic freedom in this country are bad, pathetic, in the tank propagandists like this who pretend like they're journalists. All right. Sorry, let's watch how the exchange goes from here.
Ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
One can't even respond to it. I mean, people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts and I know what I want to say. I won't. I stood next to a president of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden. And he had the backs of every single person in this community. He didn't play politics, didn't try to divide any of us.
Wow, couple things on this. First of all, great, brilliant. I mean, this is why I fear Gavin Newsom more than any other politician out there, because he is so brazen and shameless with his bull. He is able to do this and actually make it look like he's got high moral standing. That is a complete and total dodge. He wants to politicize this, but I'm not going to politicize this. I stood by children who lost their schools. I've watched people lose their homes, and I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. And it's like, oh, thank you, Gavin Newsom, for not dignifying it with a response. Of course, Anderson Cooper helped him out by making the entire thing about Trump blamed you. What do you say? By the way, all of this garbage about not politicizing a disaster. You know, last time I checked, when you've got school children lying tragically in their own blood from a school shooting, it's guys like Gavin Newsom who take every opportunity to politicize those tragedies. Not children who have lost their schools in a fire, children who have lost their lives, and they immediately make it about infringing on the constitutional right to bear arms. They never hesitate to politicize any kind of problem, or even a natural disaster, although I still refuse to call this a natural disaster. But when a hurricane comes in and devastates people's lives, if there is a Republican anywhere in close proximity, they will be the first ones to politicize it and say they're to blame. But now suddenly, we point out the historic fact that they have been negligent in good governance with regard to land management, deforestation, and water management. And you suddenly say, oh, I will not even dignify that. And by the way, this last statement, I stood next to a president today, and I was proud to stand next to him. Okay, let's see what it looks like when Gavin Newsom is standing next to that president. What did Joe Biden do exactly today?
We got this notification yesterday their home is probably burning down. Today, parents are maybe still standing, I'm not sure. But the good news is, I'm a great grandfather as of today. I have a granddaughter. Baby girl, baby boy.
So Gavin Newsom is proud to stand next to Joe Biden today compared to Donald Trump coming into office, because at the moment of crisis, when the president, by the way, just happened to be there because he was doing yet another federal land grab of the South Coachella Valley. And then, and I think he was also raising money from big Hollywood bigwigs trying to figure out, he was actually meeting with agents at CAA, Creative Artists Agency, to sign a deal with them to handle his presidential library and all of the money that he's going to graft off of that from the Chinese and God knows whoever else Hunter is going to get his fingers in. Oh, let's watch the finances of the Biden library. Who the hell is going to go to the Biden library anyway? What is it, a bunch of coloring books? The Hunter Biden wing might be interesting. His reading material, I mean, it's going to be 18 and over. It's going to be like the old porn section at the video store. Oh, I just said the P word, didn't I? And now that's going to screw us up on the algorithms. Dang it. This proves I work without a script. Remember the old video stores where you would go and you'd get in, and it's like, oh, what goes on behind those curtains where it says adults only? That's the Hunter Biden section of the Biden Presidential Library. So that's why he's out there. He wasn't out there because he was responding to the disaster. He was already in LA trying to work out a deal for his next billion-dollar grift and then grab more land for the federal government from the state of California in the Coachella Valley. And then as he's standing there with Gavin Newsom is so proud, he sits there and wastes everybody's time by saying, but the good news is I'm a great-grandfather today. You're living in Altadena, you're living in Sylmar, you're living in the Pacific Palisades, you're tuning in to see what kind of assistance you're going to get, and you hear Joe Biden bragging about being a great-grandfather today? Oh, well, that's comforting. That's super comforting. Thanks, Joe. Guys, this has got to end Gavin Newsom's career. It's got to. I'm so tired. It's been years now. As a former Angelino, I've been hitting my head against the wall as a former Californian, trying to warn everybody about this guy. You thought Kamala Harris was going to be bad? Gavin Newsom is the real thing. He is truly an evil socialist. And he is, and even this disaster, he will somehow figure out a way to turn into a political advantage for him. That's how Machiavellian he is. And I blame Kimberly Guilfoyle for all of this. And if you don't get that, please just search it, because I don't want to get into it.